Darkness tastes like rust and fear. Bryn Thatcher counts the squeaks of her pink rain boots against cold concrete. One squeak, two squeaks, three squeaks. The sound echoes in a room with no windows, no light, nothing but the smell of mold and old oil and something else she can't name. Something that makes her stomach hurt. Her wrists burn where the rope bites into skin already raw. 8 years old and she knows what rope burn feels like now. Knows the exact shape of a grown man's hand. Oval bruise, dark purple. Still throbbing on her right arm where Malcolm Drake grabbed her hard enough that something popped beneath the surface. The oversized leather vest hangs past her knees. Hellsangels patch on the back skull grinning in the darkness like an old friend keeping watch. It smells like motor oil and coffee and daddy. She pulled it tight around her small frame when they threw her in here. When the door slammed and the lock clicked and she realized nobody was coming to check if she was okay. Not yet, but they will. Daddy always comes, Bryn whispers into the black. Soft at first, then louder. Then like a prayer she learned when she was 5 years old and got separated from her father at the county fair. Lost in a crowd of strangers who didn't see her, didn't hear her, didn't care about a little girl in a motorcycle vest looking for her daddy. But he'd found her. He always finds her. 1462 Ashford Lane. 1462 Ashford Lane. 1462 Ashford Lane. Her address becomes rhythm, becomes heartbeat, becomes the only thing keeping the darkness from swallowing her whole. 41 hours, that's how long she's been counting squeaks. 41 hours since someone grabbed her outside Riverside Elementary School and 200 people heard her scream, "Daddy," and not one of them moved. Not one. Bryn Thatcher is 8 years old and she has made her father a promise that runs deeper than blood, stronger than rope, louder than fear. A promise that lives in the vest she wears every Friday. In the lessons he taught her when she was small enough to fit in the palm of his hand. In the voice she hears now in the darkness, telling her the same thing he's told her since before she could walk. We don't quit. We don't break. We survive no matter what, no matter how scared. She counts another squeak and closes her eyes and remembers sunshine. 41 hours earlier, the world was different. Friday morning arrives with November cold and the smell of rain that hasn't fallen yet. Bryn Thatcher wakes at 6:37 because that's when her internal clock decides mornings begin. No alarm needed, just her body knowing it's time to get up and get ready and make sure Daddy knows she's awake before he leaves for the garage. She finds him in the kitchen. Garrett Thatcher, 41 years old, 6'2", hands scarred from years of motorcycle repair, and knuckles that have seen their share of fights he never talks about. Gray starting to thread through dark hair he keeps short. Beard trimmed close, eyes the exact color of Bryn's, hazel with flecks of gold that catch light when he smiles. He's smiling now, coffee in one hand, spatula in the other, eggs scrambling in a pan that's older than Bryn. The kitchen smells like butter and burnt toast and home. Morning, baby girl. Bryn climbs onto the counter stool. Her feet don't touch the floor yet. Won't for another year at least. She's small for 8. Always has been. But Daddy says size doesn't matter. Heart matters. Thatchers have big hearts. She watches him plate eggs. Watches him add hot sauce even though she hates hot sauce. Watches him eat standing up because Garrett Thatcher doesn't sit for breakfast. Never has. Says mornings are for movement, for getting the blood going, for remembering you're alive. You ready for school? Bryn nods, mouthful of eggs she doesn't taste. She's thinking about today, about what today means. It's Friday, Daddy's lucky day. Every Friday since she was 6 years old, Garrett lets her wear his vest, the leather one with patches that tell stories she doesn't fully understand yet. Hell's Angels Sacramento, Reaper's name stitched across the front pocket. Skull on the back that other kids think is scary but Bryn thinks is beautiful. He hands it to her now, still warm from where it hung by the heater all night. You remember the rules, Bryn recites them. Voice steady, words memorized. Don't let anyone touch it. Don't take it off. If someone asks about it, tell them it's Daddy's and Daddy's a good man. If someone tries to take it, run. Find a teacher. Find help. Come home. Garrett kneels down, gets eye level with his daughter. Big hands on small shoulders, gentle despite their size. And if you get lost, say my address until someone safe finds me. And if you get scared, Bryn's voice is firm. We don't quit, we fight back. That's my girl. He kisses her forehead, stands, grabs his keys from the counter. The motorcycle outside rumbles to life with a sound Bryn has known since before she was born. Deep, powerful, the sound of her father leaving for work and always coming back. I'll pick you up at 3:52. You be ready. I'm always ready. The vest swallows her, hangs past her knees, sleeves so long they cover her hands completely. She has to roll them 3 times before her fingers appear. But she doesn't care. She wears it like armor, like a shield, like proof that she belongs to someone who would burn the world down if anyone hurt her. Riverside Elementary sits 6 blocks from the Thatcher house. Close enough to walk if the weather's good. Close enough to bike if Bryn had a bike. Close enough that Garrett picks her up every single day at exactly 3:52 because routine matters. Because predictability keeps little girls safe. Bryn knows this. She's known this since she was old enough to understand that her father's world is different from other fathers' worlds. That the men he calls brothers wear the same patches and ride the same bikes and live by rules most people don't understand. But she understands. We survive. Brothers don't abandon. Family isn't always blood. 3rd grade classroom. Mrs. Patterson teaching fractions with colorful magnets on a whiteboard that squeaks when she writes. Bryn sits in the back because she likes watching everyone else, likes seeing patterns, likes knowing who talks to who and who sits alone and who needs help but won't ask for it. She's good at noticing. Daddy says that's a gift. Says most people walk through life blind, seeing but not observing, hearing but not listening. He says Bryn has eyes that catch details, a mind that files them away, a heart that remembers the important things. Art class arrives at 2:15, Bryn's favorite hour of the week. Ms. Chen, the art teacher, lets them draw whatever they want. No rules, no restrictions, just crayons and paper and imagination. Bryn draws her father. Not realistic. She's 8. Her people still look like stick figures with oversized heads. But she knows who it is, knows the motorcycle beneath him, knows the flames she's adding to the wheels aren't real, but they should be. Daddy rides fast, fast enough that it feels like fire when wind hits your face and everything blurs and all that exists is movement and trust. She uses red crayon for flames, yellow for highlights, orange for the parts where fire meets air. The wheels look like they're spinning, look like they're burning their way across the page. Ms. Chen stops beside her desk, looks down at the drawing, smiles that teacher smile. That means you did good. That's beautiful, Bryn. Is that your dad? Bryn nods. Doesn't look up. Too focused on getting the flames right. He's going to love it. 3:47. Dismissal time approaches with the organized chaos of 200 elementary students preparing to leave. Backpacks zipping, shoes squeaking on linoleum. Voices rising in that particular frequency only children can produce. Excitement, relief, freedom. Bryn puts her art project in her backpack. Careful. The crayon is still wet in places, still soft. She doesn't want it to smear, doesn't want the flames to blur into nothing. Mrs. Patterson calls for line leaders. Bryn isn't a line leader. She's a middle kid, walks between the loud ones at the front and the quiet ones at the back, observes both, learns from watching. The line moves through hallways decorated with student work, Thanksgiving turkeys made from traced hands, pilgrims with construction paper hats, Native Americans with feathers that look nothing like real history, but nobody seems to care. Bryn wears Daddy's vest and feels eyes on her. Always feels eyes. Other kids stare at the skull patch. Some think it's cool. Some think it's scary. Most don't think anything because they're 8, and motorcycles and leather and bikers exist in a world their parents tell them to avoid. But Bryn doesn't avoid that world. She lives in it. 3:52. Dismissal doors open and cold November air rushes in. Smells like rain and car exhaust and the beginning of something Bryn can't name yet. Something that tastes wrong, feels wrong, sets her teeth on edge without reason. She scans the parking lot, looking for Daddy's Harley, looking for the familiar shape of him leaning against chrome, looking for the smile that says, "I'm here, baby girl. You're safe." He's not there yet. That's okay. Sometimes he's running late. Sometimes the garage keeps him an extra few minutes. Sometimes traffic is bad, or a customer needs one more thing, or the universe just decides that 352 becomes 354. Bryn walks down the front steps, pink rain boots squeaking with every step, left boot louder than right. Has been since she got them 6 months ago. Daddy says he'll oil the hinge, make the squeak go away. But Bryn likes it, likes the sound, likes knowing where her feet are even when she's not looking. Squeak, squeak, squeak. She stands on the curb between the parent pickup lane and the bus loading zone. Right where Daddy told her to stand, right where she stood every Friday for 2 years. Routine, predictability, safety. A white van circles the block. Bryn notices. Most kids wouldn't. Most kids are too busy talking or playing or climbing into their parents' cars. But Bryn is a noticer, a watcher, someone who sees patterns, and when patterns break, alarm bells start ringing. The van doesn't belong. She knows every parent's car, every grandparent's truck, every bus and every bike and every vehicle that shows up at Riverside Elementary during dismissal. Has known them for 2 years, has memorized them the way other kids memorize multiplication tables. This van is new, white, Dodge, recent model but dirty like it's been driven far. Virginia license plates, 7RX4138, numbers she reads without thinking, numbers that file themselves away in her brain the same way everything else does. It circles once, then parks, across the street, near the old Honda Accord that's been sitting there all afternoon, near the trees that haven't lost their leaves yet, near the spot where nobody usually parks because it's too far from the school entrance. Bryn watches. The driver's door opens. A man steps out. 6'2", maybe taller, built like someone who works with his hands. Black leather jacket zipped to his throat. Timberland boots, dark jeans, and crawling up his neck from beneath his collar, visible even from 60 feet away, a tattoo. Black ink. Snake. The head reaches his jawline, mouth open, fangs showing. Bryn's stomach tightens. Daddy has tattoos. So do all the uncles, Luther and Raymond and Alan and Kevin and 93 other men who wear the same patch she's wearing right now. Tattoos don't scare her, but this man's tattoo does. Not because of what it is, because of where it is, because of how he's looking at the school entrance like he's hunting something. Someone. The passenger door opens. A second man emerges. Shorter, 5'10" maybe. Bald head shaved clean, navy windbreaker, white sneakers. And when he reaches for the van's sliding door, when his hand grips the handle, Bryn sees it. His right hand is missing a finger. Pinky gone. Just 4 digits where 5 should be. She files that away too. Snake tattoo man starts walking toward the school. Purpose in his stride. Eyes scanning the crowd of children flooding down the steps. Searching. And then his eyes lock on Bryn. She feels it before she understands it. That sensation of being seen. Really seen. Not the casual glance adults give children. Not the dismissive once over. But focused attention. The kind that makes prey freeze when predators appear. Bryn takes a step backward. Squeak. Pink boot against wet concrete. Snake tattoo man smiles. It doesn't reach his eyes. Teeth too white. Too many showing. The kind of smile people wear when they're pretending, when what's underneath isn't friendly at all. He's 10 feet away when he says her name. Bryn Thatcher. She stops. Freezes. Because strangers don't know her name. Strangers don't walk up to third graders and speak like they know them. That's rule number 1. Rule number 0. The first thing every parent teaches their child. Don't talk to strangers. Don't go with strangers. Don't trust people who know your name when you don't know theirs. Bryn's hand tightens on her backpack strap. Who are you? The man kneels down, gets eye level, still smiling that wrong smile. Your daddy sent me to pick you up, sweetheart. There's been an emergency. The words hang in cold November air. Emergency. Daddy sent me. 3 pieces of information that should make sense, but don't. Can't. Won't. Because Garrett Thatcher doesn't send strangers to pick up his daughter. Doesn't trust anyone outside the brotherhood with her safety. Doesn't make exceptions. Not for emergencies. Not for anything. If Daddy needed someone else to get her, it would be Luther. Reaper. The man with gray braided beard and angel wing tattoos who's known Bryn since she was 3 days old. Or Raymond, Doc, the medic who fixed her broken arm when she was 6. Or any of the 97 brothers who wear the same patch she's wearing right now. Never a stranger. Never someone whose smile doesn't reach his eyes. Never. Bryn shakes her head, takes another step back. Squeak. No. Daddy picks me up. Always. Sweetness drains from the man's voice, replaced by something harder. Something that makes Bryn's heart start racing. Not today. Come on. We need to go. He reaches for her arm. Bryn tries to run, but Malcolm Drake is 6'2" and 230 pounds, and 8 years of living haven't prepared Bryn Thatcher for what happens when grown men decide to hurt children. His hand closes around her right arm, squeezes. Something pops beneath her skin. Not bone. Worse. Blood vessels bursting, tissue crushing, pain so sharp and sudden that Bryn's vision goes white for half a second. The bruise forms instantly. Oval, dark purple, the exact shape of Malcolm Drake's grip. Bryn screams, "Daddy." The sound cracks through afternoon air like a gunshot. Louder than buses, louder than voices, louder than anything an 8-year-old should be able to produce. Raw, desperate, the kind of scream that should make adults come running. Should. Her art project falls from her hands. The drawing of Daddy on his motorcycle. Flames she spent 40 minutes perfecting. Crayon still wet, still soft. It hits the concrete and slides across wet pavement. Red and yellow and orange smearing together. Flames becoming nothing. The bald man appears. Wade Pritchard, missing pinky finger. He grabs Bryn's other arm and together they lift her off the ground like she weighs nothing. Because she doesn't. 62 pounds, 4'1". Small for 8. Bryn kicks, twists, fights with everything she has. Pink boots connecting with shins, connecting with nothing, connecting with air. The van's sliding door is open, dark inside. They're carrying her toward it, and she can see the darkness waiting, and somewhere in her 8-year-old brain, she knows that if they get her inside that van, everything changes. Everything ends. So she does the only thing left. She bites, sinks her teeth into Wade Pritchard's wrist, right above where his pinky used to be. Bites down hard enough to taste copper, hard enough to feel skin break, hard enough that Wade screams and jerks his hand away. Blood wells between her teeth. His blood, not hers. And for half a second, Bryn thinks maybe she can get away. Maybe fighting is enough, maybe being small and fierce and refusing to go quietly will save her. But Wade Pritchard has spent 15 years working for cartels that don't accept failure, has survived prison and gang wars and betrayals that would kill softer men. An 8-year-old's teeth don't frighten him. They just make him angry. He shoves her, hard, into the van, into darkness. Bryn hits metal floor with her shoulder. Pain explodes through her body, different from the arm bruise, sharper, deeper, the kind that steals breath. The door slams, lock clicks, engine starts. And Bryn Thatcher realizes with the awful clarity of childhood that 200 people just heard her scream for help and nobody is coming. Sullivan Brennan watches from the passenger seat of a 2004 Honda Accord with 247,000 miles on the odometer and a broken driver's side window, held together with duct tape and hope. 13 years old, homeless, living in this car with his mother for 7 months since the eviction notice arrived, and their apartment became someone else's apartment, and their life became parking lots and routine and the desperate mathematics of surviving one more day. Right now, Sullivan's mother sleeps in the back seat. Colleen Brennan, 39 years old, former 911 dispatcher. 11 years of answering emergency calls and teaching people how to stay calm when the world falls apart. Then budget cuts came, and she became one more statistic. One more person the system decided wasn't essential. She works nights now. Rosie's Diner, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Comes back exhausted and sleeps in the back of a car that smells like old French fries and broken dreams while her son keeps watch. Sullivan keeps watch every day. 3:47 p.m. like clockwork. That's when they park across from Riverside Elementary. That's when Colleen curls up with a jacket for a pillow and trusts her son to wake her if anything goes wrong. That's when Sullivan watches dismissal like it's the most important thing in the world. Because it is. Because watching gives him purpose. Because in 7 months of homelessness and hunger and the awful grinding poverty that makes you invisible, this routine is the one thing that feels like it matters. He knows every parent's car, every teacher's shift, every child's pattern, knows which kids get picked up by grandparents, which ones walk home in groups, which ones wait alone until someone remembers they exist. He knows because his mother taught him what she knew. Details save lives, Sullivan. The color of a car, the letters on a plate, the shape of a scar. When everything goes wrong, details are the only things that matter. Sullivan memorizes everything: license plates, faces, voices, the sounds people make when they're scared versus angry versus lying. It started as practice, keeping his dispatcher mother's skills sharp, something to do while they wait for life to get better. It becomes survival. And at 3:47 p.m. on November 15th, 2024, it becomes something else entirely. The white van circles the block. Sullivan notices, reaches for the broken watch on his wrist, checks it even though it's been frozen at 3:47 for 2 months. Even though checking does nothing, the ritual matters. The habit. The small action that grounds him when anxiety starts climbing. In his head, he adds 5 minutes. 3:52. The van parks. Sullivan's chest tightens. Wrong vehicle, wrong plates. Virginia 7RX4138. Enterprise rental magnet on the driver's door, but it says Fairfax 5A. East Coast rental, driven 3,000 miles to Sacramento, California. That's expensive. That's deliberate. That's not normal parent pickup behavior. Driver's door opens. Man emerges. 6'2", 230, military build. Black jacket, and the tattoo. Snake crawling up his neck. Black ink, head reaching jawline. Sullivan's pulse quickens. He knows trouble when he sees it. Knows it in his bones, in the 7 months of watching people. Of learning which ones smile with their eyes and which ones smile with their teeth. Of understanding that danger doesn't always announce itself with weapons or threats. Sometimes it walks up calm and confident and wearing a leather jacket that costs more than everything Sullivan owns. Passenger door opens. Second man, shorter, bald, missing his right pinky finger. Sullivan sees it when he reaches for the van's sliding door. 4 digits instead of 5. He files it away. Every detail, every piece. Because his mother taught him that details save lives, and Sullivan Brennan doesn't forget what he sees. The men walk toward the school. Sullivan's hand moves to the door handle. Stop, he tells himself. Not your business. You're homeless. You're nobody. You can't help. But then the snake tattoo man says a name. Bryn Thatcher. And the little girl in the oversized Hell's Angels vest takes a step backward. Squeak. Pink boot on concrete. Sullivan knows that sound, knows that squeak. Hears it every Friday afternoon when this same little girl walks down the school steps at exactly 3:52, wearing a vest 3 sizes too big and pink rain boots with unicorn stickers. She's part of the pattern, part of the routine, part of the world Sullivan watches because watching is all he has left. The man reaches for her. She tries to run. He grabs her arm. She screams "Daddy" loud enough that Sullivan hears it through closed car windows in 60 feet of distance, loud enough that everyone hears it. Everyone. 200 people in the parking lot, parents and teachers and bus drivers and crossing guards and students still flooding down the steps. 200 witnesses to an 8-year-old girl screaming for help, and not one of them moves. Mrs. Herrera stands 15 feet away. Dismissal teacher, 43 years old, 15 years at Riverside Elementary. She's helping a kindergartner tie his shoe. Hears the scream, looks up, sees the van, sees the little girl being grabbed, and does nothing. Because it's Marcus Walsh's daughter, she'll say later. Probably family. Can't call 911 every time a kid makes noise. Darla Sutton sits in her silver Lexus SUV, 3-car garage house in a neighborhood with HOA fees higher than Sullivan's mother makes in 2 months. She sees Bryn run toward her car, sees the terror in an 8-year-old's eyes, sees her pound on the window. Darla rolls up the window, locks the doors, drives away. Because she has children to protect, she'll say later. What if it was dangerous Terry Aldridge works the crossing, 71 years old, firefighting, 9 years at this post. Knows every child, every family. Waves at the white van like it's just another parent pickup. Because kids are dramatic, he'll say later. Always playing pretend. The second man grabs Bryn's other arm. They lift her. She kicks, she fights. She bites one of them hard enough that Sullivan sees blood. And then they throw her into the van. Door slams, engine starts, the van pulls away, turns left at Folsom Boulevard. Left. Not right toward the freeway, not straight toward downtown. Left toward the industrial district where nobody goes after dark and warehouses sit empty and screams don't carry. Sullivan is running before he decides to run. Throws open the car door so hard it bounces against its hinges. His mother jerks away in the back seat. Confusion on her face. Sleep still heavy in her voice. Sullivan where? But he's gone. 60 feet between the car and the school entrance. Sullivan covers it in 19 seconds. Sneakers held together with duct tape. Left sole flapping with every stride. Jeans too short, exposing ankles to November cold. Gray hoodie with a hole in the left elbow billowing behind him. He runs towards something bigger than cold. Towards something that matters more than comfort. Toward the only choice that makes sense when you watch an 8-year-old get kidnapped and 200 people do nothing. You do something. Mrs. Herrera is still helping the kindergartner with his shoe. Sullivan grabs her arm. A girl just got kidnapped. She looks at him, really looks. And Sullivan knows what she sees. Homeless kid, dirty clothes, duct tape shoes, hair that hasn't been washed in 3 days because the community center shower was broken. Desperation in his eyes that makes adults uncomfortable. She sees problem, not witness. Problem. Her face goes through 3 expressions in 2 seconds. Surprise, confusion, dismissal, honey. She pulls her arm back like he burned her. That's Marcus Walsh's daughter, probably got picked up by family. We can't call 911 every time. White van, Sullivan's voice cracks. 13 years old, but in this moment he sounds younger. Sounds like the child he still is. Virginia plate 7 RX4138. 2 men, one with a snake tattoo on his neck, the other bald, with a missing pinky finger on his right hand. Mrs. Herrera exchanges a look with Miss Oakes 10 feet away. That look. Sullivan knows it. Has seen it in grocery store parking lots where managers tell him to leave. In library lobbies where security follows him through stacks. In every place where homeless kids don't belong. The look that says, not my problem. We'll handle it, Mrs. Herrera's voice goes cold. You need to leave school property. Now, she screamed. Sullivan is crying now. Tears he can't control, can't stop, can't hide. She screamed Daddy loud enough for everyone to hear. Check the security cameras, please. But Mrs. Herrera is already turning away. Already dismissing him. Already deciding that whatever this homeless boy saw doesn't matter as much as the kindergartner's untied shoe. Sullivan runs to the principal's office, bursts through doors, past the secretary, into the inner sanctum where Dr. Patricia Holloway sits behind a desk with a bronze plaque that reads, Student safety is our priority. 52 years old, 14 years as principal, 487 students, 32 faculty members, a budget shortfall, a board meeting on Tuesday. She looks at Sullivan like he's an interruption. A girl was kidnapped. Sullivan is sobbing, can't breathe, can't think, can't do anything but repeat the details his mother taught him to memorize. White van, Virginia plate 7 RX4138. 2 men, one with a snake tattoo, the other missing his right pinky finger. They grabbed her at 3:52. She was wearing a leather vest. Please, Dr. Holloway is tired. Has been tired for 14 years. Tired of parents complaining. Tired of budget cuts. Tired of children who need more than she can give, and systems that don't work and days that never end. She looks at the boy in front of her. Homeless, dirty, crying, shouting about kidnapping, and makes a decision, the wrong decision. Young man, her voice is ice. We don't tolerate false alarms. That was Marcus Walsh's daughter. She's fine. If you disrupt this school again, I will call the police on you for trespassing. I'm not lying, Sullivan's hands shake. I saw. The word hits him like a slap. Security. Dr. Holloway stands. Full authority now, full dismissal. Escort this boy off campus. If he returns, detain him for trespassing. Two security guards appear, hands on Sullivan's shoulders. Pressure that says move or be moved. Please, Sullivan whispers it. Just check the cameras. Call her dad. Please. Dr. Holloway sits back down, returns to her computer, to emails and forms and problems she can actually solve. Problems that don't involve homeless boys making wild accusations. We have protocols for emergencies. Her voice doesn't change, doesn't soften, doesn't acknowledge the tears on Sullivan's face. We don't need homeless children causing panic with wild stories for attention. Sullivan is escorted off campus, like a criminal, like a liar, like someone who doesn't matter. Behind him inside the school, not a single person picks up a phone. Not a single person checks the cameras. Not a single person calls Garrett Thatcher to tell him his daughter is gone. Because why would they? It's probably nothing. Probably family. Probably fine. Sullivan sits on the curb across from the school, head in his hands, body shaking from cold and adrenaline and the crushing weight of failure. He saw everything, remembered everything, and nobody believed him. The girl is gone, screamed for her daddy, and Sullivan did nothing. Not really, not enough. In his mind, he replays the moment over and over. The snake tattoo, the missing finger, the license plate, the left turn at Folsom, every detail perfect, every detail useless. Because he's homeless, because he's nobody, because the world doesn't listen to people like him. The rumble of a motorcycle cuts through his spiral. Sullivan looks up. The man getting off the Harley is 61 years old, solid build, shaved head, gray beard braided like something from a Viking movie. His right arm is covered in tattoos, angel wings wrapping around what looks like badge numbers. His leather vest bears a patch Sullivan recognizes from the little girl's vest. Hell's Angels. The man scans the school entrance like he's looking for someone, like he's hunting. His eyes sharp, alert, the kind of awareness that comes from years of seeing things most people miss. Luther Reaper Carver spent 23 years as a homicide detective, interviewed 1,000 witnesses, learned to read body language the way most people read street signs, learned which witnesses lie and which ones break down and which ones tell the truth even when it hurts. He sees Sullivan, sees the tears wet on his cheeks, sees the hoodie too thin for this weather, sees the sneakers falling apart at the seams, sees the way Sullivan's shoulders hunch forward, the way his hands clutch his stomach, the way he sits like the world just ended. Luther's detective instinct kicks in. This kid isn't looking for trouble. This kid found trouble, and he needs someone to believe him. Sullivan stands, legs like jelly, duct tape sneakers shuffling against asphalt, shuffle scuff, walking toward the most terrifying-looking man he's ever seen in his life. 60 feet, 50, 40. Luther turns, sees him coming, sees everything in an instant, and something in his expression shifts. Not anger, not dismissal, recognition. Sullivan stops 10 feet away. For a long moment, neither of them speaks. Then in a voice so broken it barely qualifies as sound. Please, nobody will listen. She screamed, "Daddy." She needed her daddy. Luther goes completely still. His hand stops mid-motion on his motorcycle's chrome. His eyes lock onto Sullivan's with an intensity that should be terrifying, but somehow isn't. 3 seconds pass. Sullivan counts them. The biker doesn't move, doesn't breathe, doesn't blink. Then Luther stands, knees crack loud like snapping twigs. He walks towards Sullivan with the measured pace of a man who learned never to move fast toward frightened witnesses. He stops 3 feet away and does something that breaks every assumption Sullivan has ever made about men who look like this. He kneels, right there on wet asphalt, gets down on one knee so he's looking up at Sullivan instead of down, makes himself smaller, makes himself less threatening, makes himself someone a scared 13-year-old might actually trust. Son. Luther's voice is low, steady, certain. Look at me. Sullivan looks. I believe you. 3 words. 3 words that crack something open in Sullivan's chest. Something that's been locked tight for 7 months of homelessness and hunger, and the grinding knowledge that nobody sees him. Nobody cares. Nobody believes a word he says. Until now, tell me everything, Sullivan tells him. Not in fragments, not in the halting, uncertain way he told the teachers, not with the desperation he brought to the principal's office. In complete sentences, with complete details. Exactly as his mother trained him. Exactly as a former dispatcher's son knows how to deliver information when lives are on the line. I saw them take her from the car across the street. White Dodge Ram van, 2019 model, Virginia plate 7RX4138, Enterprise rental car magnet on the driver's door. But the magnet said Fairfax, Virginia. They circled the block once before parking at 3:52 p.m. My watch is broken, but I know the gap. 5 minutes from when it stopped. Luther doesn't interrupt, doesn't question, just listens. Kidnapper 1, 6'2", approximately 230 pounds. Black leather jacket, Timberland boots, size 13. I saw the print in the mud. Snake tattoo on his neck. Black ink. The head reaches his jawline. Scar on his left cheek about 4 inches. Looks like a burn. Southern accent. Georgia or Alabama. I couldn't narrow it further. Luther's breathing changes. Faster. Harder. Kidnapper 2. 5'10", 175. Bald. Shaved clean. Navy blue windbreaker zipped to the neck. White Adidas sneakers. Missing his right pinky finger. I saw it when he grabbed her arm. He limps on his left leg. Ankle injury. Slows his gait. Makes it uneven. Every detail matches federal case files Luther has read. Cartel profile. Professional kidnappers. The kind of men who don't make mistakes. The kind of men this 13-year-old boy just described with photographic precision. She was wearing an oversized leather vest. Sullivan's voice stays steady, controlled, the way his mother taught him. Hell's Angels patch, pink rain boots with unicorn stickers, denim overalls underneath. She screamed "Daddy" when they grabbed her. She dropped her art project, a crayon drawing with flames. The van turned left at Folsom Boulevard. His voice cracks on the last word. I tried to tell them. The teachers, the principal. Nobody believed me. They said I was lying for attention. They said I was homeless, so I was causing trouble. They told me to leave. His hand starts shaking. I watched her get taken and I couldn't stop it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Luther puts his hand on Sullivan's shoulder, firm but gentle, like an anchor. Sullivan. The biker's voice is rock steady. What's your name again, Sullivan Brennan? Sullivan, listen to me very carefully. Luther pulls out his phone. You're not nobody. You're the only person who saw, the only person who remembered, the only person brave enough to keep trying when everyone else quit. He presses a contact. 1 ring, 2. A voice picks up. Yeah, Gunner, it's Reaper. I need every brother within 100 miles at the clubhouse now. Pause. What's going on? Hammer's little girl was snatched outside her school. I've got an eyewitness. Kid with photographic memory. Saw everything. White van, Virginia plates. Cartel profile on 2 kidnappers. They've got maybe a 40-hour window before they move her. The pause stretches for exactly 1 heartbeat. Say no more. We're coming. The line goes dead. Luther looks at Sullivan, really looks. Sees past the dirty clothes and duct tape shoes and tears still wet on his face. Sees a boy who did everything right and got punished for it. Sees someone who deserves better than dismissal. Come with me. Luther stands, offers his hand. Your mother in that car. Sullivan nods. I'll talk to her. Luther's voice gentles. You just saved that little girl's life. You don't know it yet. But you did. And I'm going to make sure everyone knows it. Within 20 minutes, Luther has called every Hell's Angels chapter within 3 hours. Sacramento, Oakland, San Jose, Fresno, Stockton. 97 brothers answer. They don't ask for proof, don't ask for plans, don't question, don't hesitate. They hear the words, Hammer's kid is gone, and they drop everything. Jobs, family dinners, sleep, climb onto motorcycles and point them towards Sacramento like arrows toward a target. Because that's what family means. Not blood, choice. And when one of their own needs help, the brotherhood answers. Always. Sullivan watches the calls happen from the passenger seat of Luther's Harley. His mother has been briefed, gently, respectfully, by a man who treated her with more dignity than she's received in 7 months of homelessness. Colleen Brennan agreed to let Sullivan stay with Luther until the girl is found, because something in Luther's eyes told her this man doesn't lie, doesn't exaggerate, doesn't make promises he can't keep. You saved her life today, Luther told Colleen. Your son, he's a hero. We're going to make sure the world knows it. Colleen cried. Sullivan pretended not to notice. The Hells Angels clubhouse sits at 4200 Stockton Boulevard. Squat building. Reinforced steel door. Windows you can't see through. By 5:30 p.m., the parking lot fills with motorcycles. Chrome polished. Arranged in rows with military discipline. Inside, 97 men wait. They don't look like villains from Sullivan's imagination. Some are old, gray beards, weathered faces, hands that have seen decades of labor. Some are young, sharp eyes, restless energy, phones out and ready. Some are dressed like construction workers, others like mechanics, a few like accountants. But every single one wears the same patch, and every single one answered the same call. At the head of the room stands Garrett Hammer Thatcher, 41 years old, built like a brick wall, hazel eyes that look exactly like his daughter's, except now they're rimmed with red. His hands keep clenching into fists he can't control. Luther brings Sullivan forward. Tell them what you told me. 97 bikers go silent. Sullivan has never had 97 people listen to him in his life. For a moment, his throat closes. Fear of judgment, fear of disbelief, fear of more dismissal. Then he looks at Garrett, at the Hells Angels patch that matches the one his daughter wore, at the terror in a father's eyes. Sullivan tells them everything. The van, the plates, the physical descriptions, the timeline, the direction they turned. Every detail his memory captured, laid out like evidence on an invisible table. When he finishes, the room stays quiet. Then a man in the back speaks. Old, gray, with the bearing of someone who has seen everything. That's photographic memory. Samuel Preacher Hollis is 67, founding member of the Sacramento chapter. His voice carries weight. I've seen it twice in my life. The kid's not making it up. He can't make that up. Another man steps forward. Kevin Bite Whitlock, 31, heavy-set, pale from hours spent in front of screens. If the van's an enterprise rental, their fleet has GPS tracking. I can get access. Might take a few hours, but I can find it. Garrett's voice is gravel. Do it. Raymond Doc Fisher steps up. 63, gray ponytail, caduceus tattoo on his forearm. If she's been held without food or water for over 24 hours, we're looking at dehydration. Maybe worse. When we find her, I'll need to assess her fast. Alan Professor Briggs moves forward. 47, clean-shaven, kind eyes that seem out of place among so much leather. And after, she'll need someone who knows how to talk to traumatized kids. I've got credentials. I'll be there when she wakes up. Garrett looks around the room. At brothers who dropped everything, at specialists already forming rescue plans, at the homeless boy who gave them hope. 41 hours. Garrett's voice cracks. That's what we've got before they move her, before the trial Monday, before I'm supposed to testify against the man who ordered this. He pauses. Money won't get my daughter back. Lawyers won't. The cops didn't even know she was missing until I called them myself. They told me to wait 48 hours before filing a report. 48. The room growls. Low. Dangerous. But we're not waiting. Garrett straightens. Reaper is running point. Bite is tracing the van. Doc is prepping a med kit. Professor is on standby for Bryn. And every other brother here. You're spreading across this city. Door to door if we have to. Someone saw that van. Someone knows where they took her. He looks at Sullivan. And this kid who everyone dismissed, he's going to help us find my daughter. Sullivan's chest tightens. You don't have to. Garrett's voice softens. You've already done more than anyone. I want to help. Sullivan's voice is small but sure. I remember everything. Maybe I'll see something else. Maybe I'll remember something that matters. Garrett steps forward, a foot taller than Sullivan, twice his weight, covered in tattoos and leather and every visual cue that says dangerous. But when he kneels, gets down on one knee, just like Luther did, his expression is nothing but gratitude. Thank you, Garrett whispers, for seeing her, for not stopping. Sullivan doesn't know what to say, so he just nods. And the hunt begins. Darkness swallows Bryn whole again. She's back in the room with no windows. Back on cold concrete. Back counting squeaks because counting is the only thing keeping her sane. 41 hours since they took her. 41 hours since 200 people heard her scream and did nothing. But someone saw. She doesn't know that yet. Doesn't know about Sullivan or Luther or 97 brothers dropping everything to find her. Doesn't know her father is out there right now refusing to sleep until she's home. All she knows is darkness and rope and the smell of mold. All she knows is her address. 1462 Ashford Lane. 1462 Ashford Lane. 1462 Ashford Lane. Her wrists bleed where she's been working the rope against a nail she found in the mattress seam. 41 hours of sawing, of fighting, of refusing to give up even when every muscle screams and every breath hurts and every second feels like forever. Malcolm and Wade are in the next room. She can hear them through thin walls. Boss said wait till Sunday. She keeps crying. What if someone hears it's an abandoned warehouse? Who's going to hear Bryn files away warehouse? Files away Sunday. Files away every detail because that's what Daddy taught her. When you're scared, pay attention. Details save lives. She examines the nail in her hand, rusty, sharp, small enough to hide when footsteps approach. If they come close, she'll stab them. Like she bit Wade. Like her father taught her to fight back. Because we don't quit. We fight. We survive. Not after 41 hours. Not after 41 days. Not ever. Bryn Thatcher is 80 years old and she's made a promise that runs deeper than fear. A promise that lives in squeaky pink boots, in an oversized vest, in a father who taught her that being small doesn't mean being weak. She counts another squeak and whispers her address and waits for the rescue she knows is coming. Because Daddy always comes. Always. Time stops meaning anything in the dark. Bryn counts squeaks because counting is something her mind can hold on to. Something real. Something that proves she still exists even when she can't see her own hands. 42 squeaks since they threw her in here. Or is it 43? The numbers blur together, blend into each other, become rhythm instead of mathematics. The rope around her wrist has worn grooves into skin, not bleeding yet, not quite, but close, raw, tender, the kind of hurt that gets worse every time she moves. She moves anyway. Because her father's lessons run deeper than pain. Pain is temporary. Giving up lasts forever. If she stops moving, she starts thinking and thinking leads to places an 8-year-old shouldn't go. The warehouse smells wrong. Mold and rust and something chemical she can't name. Old paint maybe. Or cleaning supplies left to rot. The kind of smell that settles in your throat and won't leave. Her pink rain boots squeak against concrete. Left boot. Right boot. Left, right. A rhythm she knows by heart now. Malcolm and Wade left 20 minutes ago. Or was it an hour? Time moves different in darkness. Stretches and contracts like something living. Something hungry. She heard the van start. Heard it pull away. Heard silence settle over the warehouse like a blanket trying to smother her. They'll come back. They always come back. But right now she's alone. Right now she can work. Bryn's fingers find the nail again. Hidden in the seam of the bare mattress they threw her on. Rusty, sharp enough to hurt, small enough to palm when footsteps approach. She found it 3 hours into captivity. Right after Malcolm shoved her into this room and told her to shut up. Right after Wade checked the rope and decided it was tight enough. Right after the lock clicked and darkness became her whole world. Her fingers had explored every inch of this space. Concrete walls, metal door, bare mattress with springs poking through fabric. And there in the seam where stitching had come undone, a nail, maybe 3 inches long, bent at the tip but sharp enough. Sharp enough to cut rope if she's patient. Sharp enough to stab if she's desperate. Bryn positions the nail against the rope binding her wrists. Starts sawing. Tiny movements. Barely anything, but consistent. Relentless. The way water carves through stone over centuries. She doesn't have centuries. She has maybe 36 hours before Monday morning. Before the trial, before whatever phase 2 means. The rope fibers separate strand by strand. Too slow, too gradual, but it's working. She can feel it giving, can feel the nail cutting deeper with every pass. Her wrists scream. The rope has already rubbed them raw. Now she's adding pressure, adding friction, making it worse. But worse today means freedom tomorrow. So she keeps sawing. One stroke, two strokes, three. Her mind drifts to the school parking lot, to 200 people who heard her scream and looked away, to teachers who dismissed her, to the woman in the silver SUV who locked her doors. Why didn't they help? Was it the vest? Did they see Daddy's patch and decide she wasn't worth saving? Did they think bikers' kids deserve whatever happens to them? Or was it simpler than that? Were they just scared? Bryn understands scared. She's scared right now. Scared enough that her hands shake when she holds the nail. Scared enough that tears keep threatening to fall and she has to bite them back. But scared doesn't mean useless. Scared doesn't mean broken. The mantra plays on repeat. Her father's voice, deep, steady. The voice that read her bedtime stories and taught her to ride a bike and promised her nothing bad would ever happen as long as he was breathing. But bad things happen anyway. Bad things happen even when daddies try their best. Bryn's lip throbs where she bit it, where she tasted blood and kept biting anyway because pain meant she was still fighting, still refusing to make this easy for them. She remembers Wade's face when she bit his wrist. The shock, the rage, the moment when he realized this 8-year-old girl wasn't going to be quiet and compliant and easy. Good. Let him remember. Let him know that she fights back. The nail catches on a particularly thick strand of rope. Bryn adjusts her angle, keeps sawing. Her shoulders ache, her fingers cramp. But the rope is maybe 10% cut, maybe 15. Not enough. Not yet. But progress. Footsteps on stairs. Bryn freezes, heart hammering. She palms the nail, hides it between her fingers, shifts position so her bound wrists are behind her back. So nobody can see the frayed rope fibers, so she looks exactly like they left her. Small, helpless, broken. The door opens. Light floods in. Artificial, harsh. The kind that makes Bryn squint even though she's desperate to see. Malcolm stands in the doorway, 6'2" of muscle and menace. The snake tattoo on his neck seems to move in the flickering light, seems alive. He's holding a bottle of water and something wrapped in plastic. Food, maybe. Bryn's stomach clenches. She hasn't eaten since lunch yesterday. School, cafeteria pizza. 3 bites before dismissal bell rang. 24 hours ago, or is it longer? Malcolm tosses the water bottle onto the mattress. It lands near Bryn's feet, close enough to reach, far enough that she'll have to move for it. Drink. His voice is flat, emotionless. The voice of someone who does terrible things for money and sleeps fine afterward. Boss said keep you alive. Can't do that if you're dehydrated. Bryn doesn't move, doesn't reach for the water, doesn't trust anything these men give her. What if it's poisoned? What if there's something in it that makes her sleep? What if drinking it means giving up some small piece of control? Malcolm's eyes narrow. Suit yourself, but when you pass out from dehydration, don't expect sympathy. He drops the plastic-wrapped food. Bryn sees it now. Granola bar, generic brand, the kind you buy in bulk at discount stores. Her mouth waters despite everything. You got maybe 30 hours left here. Malcolm leans against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching her like she's a science experiment. Your daddy's supposed to testify Monday morning. Federal courthouse. 9 a.m. He recants his testimony. Our boss walks free. You go home. Bryn's mind races. 30 hours? Monday. Trial. Recant. If daddy doesn't testify, the bad man goes free. If the bad man goes free, they let her go. Simple math. Except Bryn knows her father. Knows Garrett Thatcher doesn't break promises. Doesn't lie under oath. Doesn't let murderers walk free just because his daughter is in danger. He'll testify anyway, which means these men won't let her go, which means phase 2 isn't release. It's something worse. Malcolm watches her process this, watches understanding dawn in an 8-year-old's eyes, sees the moment when Bryn realizes she's not getting out of this alive unless someone finds her first. Smart kid. Malcolm's voice carries something almost like respect. You figured it out. He pushes off the doorframe, checks the rope binding her wrists, gives it an extra tug that makes Bryn bite back a whimper. Still secure. He doesn't notice the frayed fibers, doesn't see the nail hidden in her palm, doesn't understand that 8-year-old girls raised by bikers learn to hide their weapons. Get some rest. Malcolm heads for the door. It's going to be a long weekend. The lock clicks. Darkness returns. Bryn waits 10 heartbeats. 20, 30. Makes sure he's really gone. Makes sure footsteps have faded. Then she uncurls her fingers. The nail gleams dull in the darkness. And Bryn Thatcher gets back to work. The hours blur together. Bryn saws rope. Rests, saws more. Her fingers cramp. Her wrists bleed. The rope fibers separate strand by strand by strand. 20% cut now, maybe 25. Still not enough to break. She needs 50%. Needs half the rope severed before she can put real force behind it. Before she can snap it through sheer desperate strength. Her stomach growls. The granola bar sits 3 feet away, untouched. She doesn't trust it. But the water. Her throat feels like sandpaper. Her tongue thick. Her head starting to pound with that particular ache that means dehydration setting in. Doc would tell her to drink. She knows this somehow. Knows that one of Daddy's brothers is a medic. Former military. The kind of man who knows what happens when bodies go without water for too long. Bryn reaches for the bottle with her feet. Pink rain boots nudging it closer. Closer. Until it's near enough to grab with bound hands. She twists the cap. Sniffs. Water smells like water. Clear. Clean. Nothing obviously wrong. But what if? Daddy's voice echoes in her memory. Different memory. Different lesson. This one from 2 years ago when they went camping and she wanted to drink from a stream. Always be smart, baby girl. But sometimes you have to risk. Sometimes dying slow from thirst is worse than risking poison. Is this one of those times Bryn takes the smallest sip? Barely anything. Enough to wet her mouth, waits. Nothing happens. No sudden drowsiness, no weird taste, no immediate collapse. She takes another sip. Bigger. Then another. The water hits her stomach and her whole body seems to sigh with relief. Muscles she didn't know were clenched start to relax. The headache dulls slightly. She drinks half the bottle, stops, saves the rest. Because she's smart about resources. Because 30 hours is a long time. Because she might need this later. The granola bar stays untouched. Water she can risk. Solid food feels like a step too far. Like accepting something from her captors that she can't take back. Bryn returns the nail to rope. Keeps sawing. The rhythm becomes meditation. Becomes prayer. Becomes the only thing keeping her sane. Stroke. 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 Her mind wanders to school. To Mrs. Patterson teaching fractions. To art class where she drew Daddy with flame wheels. To the moment when everything changed. She wonders if anyone misses her yet. She wonders if Daddy knows. She wonders if those 200 witnesses ever realize what they'd done. Or didn't do. The rope is maybe 30% cut now. Progress. Real progress. But still not enough. Bryn's wrists are bleeding freely. She can feel it. Warm. Sticky. Soaking into the rope and making it harder to grip the nail. She doesn't stop. Can't stop. Because stopping means thinking, and thinking means remembering that she's 8 years old and alone, and maybe no one is coming. Except someone is coming. She knows this, believes this, has to believe this, or the darkness wins. Daddy always comes. Always. Malcolm's phone rings in the next room. Bryn freezes mid-stroke. Listens. The walls are thin enough that voices carry. Yeah. Malcolm's voice, muffled but audible. We got her. Kids secure. Pause. Sunday night. That's the plan. Thatcher testifies Monday morning. We call him Sunday with proof of life. Give him one last chance to recant. Longer pause. And if he doesn't, Bryn's blood goes cold. Phase 2. Malcolm's voice drops. Wade handles it. Quick, clean. Body goes in the river. The river. Phase 2 means murder. Phase 2 means they kill her and dump her body where no one will find it. Phase 2 means Daddy loses his daughter and a murderer walks free. Something hardens in Bryn's chest. Something that feels like rage, like determination, like the absolute refusal to let bad men win. She is 8 years old. She has been kidnapped by cartel enforcers who planned to murder her. 200 people heard her scream and did nothing. But Bryn Thatcher is her father's daughter. And Garrett Thatcher raised her to fight, raised her to survive, raised her to never quit even when quitting makes sense. The nail bites into rope with renewed fury. 35% cut. 40. Her hands shake from exhaustion. Her wrists scream. Her whole body begs her to stop. She keeps going. Because phase 2 doesn't happen if she escapes. Because daddy's testimony matters. Because a murderer named Viktor Volkov deserves to rot in prison for what he did. Because we survive. No matter what. Not after hearing they're going to die. Not after 30 hours of darkness. Not ever, ever done. By midnight, the clubhouse war room looks like a military operation. Maps spread across the pool table. Red pins marking every reported sighting. Every dead end. Every place where the trail went cold. Luther coordinates from the center. Detective training evident in the way he processes information. Methodical, precise, patient, while every other instinct screams to tear the city apart. Sullivan sits beside him. The boy hasn't slept, hasn't eaten except for the sandwich Doc forced into his hands twice. He stares at the map with eyes that seem older than 13, replaying everything he saw, searching for something he might have missed. The van turned left at Folsom. Sullivan says for the 5th time, left. The police are searching the east side, but they went left toward the industrial district. Bite appears from his laptop set up in the corner. Face pale, eyes bloodshot from hours staring at screens. I've got something. Everyone goes quiet. Enterprise GPS system. Took me 4 hours, but I cracked it. Bite pulls up a screen. Fleet tracking pings every 15 minutes. Last 3 pings came from the same general area. Where? Garrett's voice is gravel. Industrial zone. Warehouse district off Stockton. Bite zooms in. Multiple buildings, all abandoned, but based on signal strength, I've narrowed it to 3 possible locations. 3. Luther leans forward. Give me addresses. 1847 Industrial Parkway. 1852 Commerce Street. 1620 Warehouse Row. Garrett is on his feet. Then we hit all 3. Simultaneously. Wait, Luther holds up a hand. We can't go in blind. If we breach the wrong building, they'll hear us coming. Move her. Kill her. Then what do we do? Garrett's fists clench. My daughter is out there. Every minute we wait. I know, brother. Luther's voice gentles. Which is why we do this smart. Recon first. 3 teams. Eyes only. No breach until we confirm which building. How long will that take? An hour, maybe 2. We get thermal imaging. Listen for movement. Confirm the van's location. Garrett wants to argue, wants to storm all 3 buildings at once, wants his daughter back now. But Luther is right, has to be right, because if they guess wrong, Bryn dies. The teams deploy at 12:30 a.m., 3 groups of 4, thermal cameras, parabolic microphones, night vision, equipment that shouldn't exist outside law enforcement but does because bikers have connections. Luther leads Team 1 to 1847 Industrial Parkway. The building Bite flagged as most likely. Garrett insists on coming, won't be left behind. Can't sit in the clubhouse while strangers look for his daughter. They approach on foot. Motorcycles parked 2 blocks away. Silent as shadows. Moving with discipline that speaks to military backgrounds. The building is dark. 3 stories. Corrugated steel. Broken windows. Tank sets up thermal imaging. Scans the structure. Floor by floor. Nothing. His voice is quiet. No heat signatures. Building's empty. You're sure? Garrett's voice is desperate. Tank shows him the screen. Green and black. Cold throughout. Unless they're in a lead-lined room, there's nobody here. Wrong building. Team 2 radios in from 1852 Commerce Street. Same result. Empty. Cold. No signs of occupation, which leaves 1620 Warehouse Row. Team 3. Led by a brother called Gunner. Former Marine. 2 tours in Afghanistan. Knows urban reconnaissance like he knows breathing. His voice crackles over the radio. We've got something. Luther's pulse quickens. Talk to me. White van in the loading bay. Virginia plates. Matches the description. Heat signature, second floor. 2 bodies. Medium size. Adult male. Bryn. Garrett whispers it. Where's Bryn? Third signature. Gunner pauses. Small. Child-sized. Northeast corner. Second floor. Not moving much, but alive. Definitely alive. Garrett's knees nearly buckle. Luther catches him. She's there. Luther's voice is certain. That's her. We found her. But Gunner's next words stop everyone cold. We've got a problem. Movement on the street. Vehicle approaching. Looks like they're doing a supply run. If they see us, we lose the element of surprise. Everyone freeze. Luther's command is absolute. Do not engage. Do not let them see you. We wait until they're inside, then we breach. Waiting means Bryn stays captive longer. Waiting means risk. But breaching while kidnappers are on alert means firefight. Means Bryn caught in crossfire. They wait. Malcolm and Wade's van pulls into the loading bay. Parks next to the white van. Both men get out. Carrying bags. Fast food, beer. Supplies for a long weekend. They disappear inside. Gunner counts to 60. All clear. They're in the building. No exterior security. No cameras visible. Luther makes the call. All teams converge on 1620 Warehouse Row. We breach in 10 minutes. Coordinate entry points. I want Bryn extracted before those men know we're there. Garrett checks his phone. 1:42 a.m. Saturday morning. 29 hours since his daughter was taken. 29 hours of not knowing if she was alive. 29 hours that aged him a decade, but she's alive. The thermal scan proved it, which means they still have time. Sullivan watches from Luther's Harley 2 blocks away. Too young to breach. Too inexperienced for tactical entry. But he insisted on coming. Needed to see this through. His broken watch reads 3:47. Always 3:47. The time when everything changed. He doesn't check it now. Just watches 20 bikers move like ghosts toward the warehouse where an 8-year-old girl waits in darkness. Please let her be okay. Sullivan whispers it. Please. Inside the warehouse, Bryn doesn't know rescue is 10 minutes away. Doesn't know 20 men are moving into position. Doesn't know her father is close enough that if she screamed loud enough, he might hear. All she knows is that the rope is 50% cut, 50%, halfway there. And Malcolm and Wade just came back with food, with beer, with the casual comfort of men who think they're safe, who think nobody knows where they are, who think an 8-year-old girl is broken and helpless and no threat at all. Bryn tests the rope, pulls. The fibers strain but hold. Not ready yet. She needs 60%, 70 to be safe. She keeps sawing. The nail is slippery now. Blood from her wrists coating the metal, making everything harder. But she doesn't stop. Because somewhere out there, Daddy is looking. She knows this, believes this, has to believe this. And when he finds her, she needs to be ready, needs to be fighting, needs to show him that she didn't quit, that she never quit. The hours crawl. Bryn works rope, counts squeaks, whispers her address when the silence gets too heavy. 1462 Ashford Lane becomes rhythm, becomes heartbeat, becomes prayer. She marks time by Malcolm and Wade's visits. They come every few hours, check the rope, leave water, take away empty bottles, say nothing useful. They don't notice the nail, don't notice the frayed rope, don't notice that their 8-year-old prisoner is planning something. Saturday morning arrives. Bryn knows because Wade mentions it, mentions that the boss is getting impatient, mentions that Sunday night is approaching fast, mentions that maybe they should move her somewhere else just in case. But Malcolm says no, says the warehouse is secure, says nobody knows about this place, says they're fine. Wade brings stale bread this time. White bread, 2 slices, dry as dust. Bryn's stomach wins the battle with her paranoia. She eats. The bread sits like concrete in her belly, but it's calories. It's fuel. It's something. The rope is 50% cut now, 50%. Halfway there, Bryn tests it, pulls. The fibers strain but hold. Not ready yet, not quite, but close. So close. She keeps sawing. Her fingers are blistered now. The nail's rough edge has worn through skin. Blood and rope fibers mixed together. Make everything slippery. Make everything harder. Bryn doesn't care. Pain is temporary. Freedom is forever. Stroke, stroke, stroke. Her mind drifts. Hallucinations start creeping in around the edges. Dehydration despite the water. Exhaustion despite the adrenaline. The human body can only take so much before it starts breaking down. She sees Daddy's face in the darkness. Hears his voice. Baby girl, you're doing so good. Keep fighting. I'm coming. I promise I'm coming. Is he really? Or is her mind creating comfort where none exists? The hallucination feels so real. Daddy's hazel eyes, his calloused hands, the smell of motor oil and coffee that means home. I'm trying, Daddy, Bryn whispers to the darkness. I'm trying so hard. I know you are. The voice in her head sounds exactly like Garrett. And I'm so proud. Just hold on a little longer. The rope is 60% cut, 65. 3/4 of the way there. Bryn's hands shake so badly now she can barely hold the nail. Her vision swims, her head pounds. Every muscle in her body screams for rest. Just a little more. Just a little further. Then she can try. Then she can fight. Saturday afternoon, Wade brings more water, checks the rope again. This time he looks closer, frowns, leans in. Bryn's heart stops. He sees the frayed fibers, has to see them. They're obvious now, obvious to anyone who looks. Wade's hand reaches for the rope. Bryn does the only thing she can think of. She pretends to be weaker than she is, lets her head loll, lets her eyes roll back, makes a sound like she's about to pass out. Wade jerks back, alarmed, calls for Malcolm. Kid's not looking good. Malcolm appears, checks her pulse, checks her pupils, shakes his head. Dehydration, heat exhaustion even in this cold. She's shutting down. Should we take her to a doctor and say what? We kidnap on her? Malcolm's voice drips sarcasm. She'll live till Monday. That's all that matters. They leave more water, leave the door open a crack for airflow, leave without checking the rope any closer. Bryn waits until footsteps fade, opens her eyes. That was close. Too close. She needs to move faster. The rope is 70% cut now, maybe 75. Bryn takes a breath, positions herself, puts everything she has into one desperate pull. The rope strains, holds, strains more. Fibers snap, not all of them. Not enough, but some. 80% cut now, almost. Almost there, she pulls again. Harder, putting her whole body into it, ignoring the screaming pain in her wrists, ignoring the blood, ignoring everything except the desperate need to be free. More fibers snap, 90%. One more pull, one more. The rope breaks. Bryn's hands fly apart. Sudden freedom. Sudden pain as blood rushes back into wrists that have been bound for 30 hours. She bites back a scream. Bites back everything. Because freedom means nothing if they hear her. She flexes her fingers. They barely work. Cramped, stiff, covered in blood and rope burns and blisters from the nail. But they work. She stands. Legs like jelly. Pink boots squeaking against concrete. The sound seems impossibly loud now. Now that she's trying to be quiet. The door is cracked open. Light spills through. Voices in the next room. Malcolm and Wade arguing about something. Football, maybe. The mundane conversation of men who kidnap children for money. Bryn looks at the nail in her hand. 3 inches of rusty metal. It cut through rope. Maybe it can cut through skin. Maybe she can stab one of them. Run while the other is distracted. Maybe. She moves to the door, peers through the crack. The next room is bigger. Warehouse space. Old equipment. A table where Malcolm and Wade sit with cards and beer bottles. 20 feet to the stairs. 20 feet between her and freedom. Can she make it? Bryn thinks about phase 2, about Sunday night, about her body in a river and Daddy testifying while his daughter's corpse floats downstream. She thinks about 200 people who didn't help. She thinks about the promise she made. We don't quit. We survive. And she runs. Pink rain boots squeaking with every step. Louder than bombs, louder than screams. The squeaking that gives her away. But she's already committed. Already running, already choosing fight over surrender. 10 feet, 15. Behind her chairs scrape. Voices shout. Malcolm yells something. Wade curses. Bryn hits the stairs at full speed, feet barely touching steps. flying up toward street level, toward daylight, toward freedom. She makes it halfway before a hand closes around her ankle. Wade, face red with fury, hand with missing pinky gripping hard enough to bruise. You little Bryn doesn't think, just reacts. Spins, stabs downward with the nail, aims for the same hand she bit yesterday, aims for the already injured tissue. The nail sinks into Wade's hand, into the gap where his pinky used to be, drives deep. Wade screams, "Let's go." Bryn runs, up the rest of the stairs, through a door, into daylight that blinds after 30 hours of darkness. She's outside, free, running down an empty street. Warehouse district, no people, no cars, just buildings and pavement and the desperate hope that somewhere someone will help. She makes it 30 feet. Then Malcolm appears ahead of her, moving fast. 6'2" of muscle blocking the street like a wall. Bryn tries to dodge, tries to run around him. He catches her. Both hands lifts her off the ground. "You little bitch." His voice is pure rage now, all pretense of professionalism gone. "You stabbed Wade. I won't go back." Bryn kicks, fights, bites at his hands. "I won't." Malcolm doesn't argue, just turns, carries her back toward the warehouse, back toward the room with no windows, back toward phase 2. Wade waits in the doorway, hand wrapped in a shirt, blood seeping through, his face twisted with pain and fury. "She's done." Wade's voice shakes. "I'm done with this. Sunday night can't come fast enough." Malcolm throws Bryn back into the room, harder this time. She hits the concrete wall. Pain explodes through her shoulder, through her ribs, steals her breath. The mattress is gone when she looks, just concrete floor now. Punishment for trying to escape. Malcolm ties her wrists again, tighter, behind her back this time. No chance of reaching another nail, no chance of cutting through. He takes the nail from where it fell, looks at it, looks at Bryn. Clever kid, almost respect in his voice, but not clever enough. The door slams, the lock clicks. And Bryn Thatcher lies on cold concrete in absolute darkness and feels something crack inside her. Not her body, something deeper. Her spirit, the part that believed rescue would come, the part that thought fighting was enough, the part that counted squeaks and whispered addresses and promised daddy she wouldn't break. That part goes quiet now. That part surrenders. She tried, fought, stabbed a grown man, ran for freedom, did everything right, and it wasn't enough. The rescue isn't coming. Daddy isn't coming. Nobody's coming. She's alone. And Sunday night is less than 24 hours away. Bryn stops counting squeaks, stops whispering her address, stops doing anything except lying very still on cold concrete and staring at darkness. Not with words, not with tears, just with the awful weight of knowing she gave everything and it still wasn't enough. In her mind, she hears Daddy's voice, the promise she made. We don't quit, we don't break, but maybe we do. Maybe everyone breaks eventually. Maybe 8 years old is too young to survive this. Maybe she was foolish to think otherwise. Bryn closes her eyes. "Daddy, I'm sorry. I tried. I really tried." Then silence. Complete. Total. The kind of silence that scares kidnappers more than screaming. Because silence means broken. And broken children don't fight back. Malcolm checks on her Saturday night, finds her unresponsive, eyes open but not seeing, breathing but not living. He leaves food. She doesn't touch it. He leaves water. She doesn't drink. He calls her name. She doesn't answer. Wade wants to call a doctor. Malcolm says no. Says she's fine. Says kids shut down sometimes. Says she'll snap out of it. But deep down, Malcolm knows the truth. They broke her. Broke the 8-year-old who bit and stabbed and fought like a wild thing. Broke the girl who recited her address like prayer. Broke the daughter who wasn't supposed to break. Sunday morning arrives with rain, cold, gray. The kind of weather that matches Bryn's internal landscape. She lies still, doesn't count squeaks, doesn't whisper addresses, doesn't do anything except exist in the smallest possible way. Her body is shutting down. Dehydration despite the water nearby. Exhaustion despite the stillness. trauma carving holes in her mind that might never fully heal. She doesn't notice when the rain stops, doesn't notice when afternoon becomes evening, doesn't notice anything except the darkness inside and outside, and the knowledge that phase two waits just hours away. In some distant part of her mind, she wonders if death will hurt, wonders if daddy will forgive her, wonders if 200 people who didn't help will ever know what their silence cost. But mostly she just lies there, waiting for Sunday night, waiting for the end. 6 miles away, Luther hangs up the phone, looks at the assembled brothers, at Garrett, whose eyes haven't seen sleep in 36 hours, at Sullivan, who refuses to leave until this is finished. Teams reported in, all 3 buildings cleared. Luther's voice is heavy. She's not at any of them. Garrett's face goes white. What? The GPS coordinates were approximate. Bite's voice is defensive. Signal scatter. Margin of error. I gave you the 3 most likely buildings. I was sure. Then where is she? Garrett explodes. My daughter's out there. We're running out of time. Brother, Luther's hand on his shoulder, calm. We don't stop. We keep searching. But there's something in Luther's voice, something that wasn't there before. Doubt. For the first time since this started, Luther Reaper Carver, former homicide detective, 23 years of experience, doubts they'll find Bryn alive. Because they've been searching for 30 hours. Because the city is too big. Because cartel kidnappers are professionals who know how to hide. Because maybe believing a homeless boy with a photographic memory was a mistake. Sullivan hears it. That doubt, sees it in Luther's eyes. And something breaks inside him too. He was so sure, so certain. Every detail perfect, every fact verified. But what if perfect details aren't enough? What if remembering everything doesn't matter when the van could be anywhere? When 3 buildings were wrong? What if Bryn dies because he wasn't good enough? I'm sorry. Sullivan's voice cracks. I thought. I was so sure. Hey. Luther kneels down, gets eye level. You did everything right, kid. This isn't on you. But it feels like it is. Feels like 7 months of being nobody taught Sullivan that his worth depends on being useful, on being right, on saving people. And if he can't save Bryn, then maybe he really is nobody after all. The rain starts again. Cold November rain that turns the city gray. That matches the despair settling over 97 men who promised to bring a little girl home. We keep searching. Luther stands, voice firm. We don't quit. Every warehouse, every abandoned building, door to door if we have to. But the doubt remains, because Sacramento is 300,000 people and countless buildings and one 8-year-old girl who might already be dead. Malcolm's phone rings at 7:00 p.m. Sunday. Bryn hears it through the thin walls, even though she's not really listening anymore. Yeah, Malcolm's voice. It's time. Move to the backup location. Boss is nervous. Too much heat in that area. When? Now. Van's ready. Grab the kid. New address is texted to you. River access is better there anyway. Understood. And Malcolm. The voice on the phone is cold. If Thatcher doesn't recant by midnight, phase 2 happens immediately. No delays, no second chances. Got it. The call ends. Bryn processes this information slowly, like her brain is moving through mud. They're moving her. New location. River access. Phase 2 at midnight if Daddy doesn't recant. Midnight is 5 hours away. She should care. Should be scared. Should do something. But the part of her that cares is broken now. Shattered. Gone. So she just lies there when the door opens. Just stares when Malcolm and Wade enter. Just breathes when they cut the rope binding her wrists and lift her like she weighs nothing. Because she does weigh nothing. She is nothing. Just a broken 8-year-old girl who tried to fight and lost. They carry her down the stairs, out to the van. The same white van that took her 36 hours ago. Throw her in the back. Close the door. Engine starts, and Bryn Thatcher leaves 1620 Warehouse Row. Leaves the room where she counted squeaks and whispered addresses and believed rescue would come. Leaves the place where 97 men will breach in 3 hours, only to find an empty warehouse and cold trail, and the crushing knowledge that they were too late. The van drives through rain, through darkness, through streets that blur together until Bryn can't tell where they are anymore. Not that it matters. Nothing matters when you're broken. Sullivan stands in the rain outside 1620 Warehouse Row at 8:30 p.m. Sunday. Watch as Luther and Garrett and 18 other brothers approach the building. Tactical formation. Professional. Prepared. He knows what they'll find. Nothing. Because 3 hours ago he saw a white van pull out of the loading bay, saw it drive away, didn't think anything of it at the time, didn't realize. But now watching the brothers breach the door, watching them disappear inside, watching the building stay quiet, he knows. They moved her. And he didn't say anything because he wasn't sure it was the same van. Because from 2 blocks away, license plates are hard to read. Because a homeless boy's observations don't matter when men are making tactical decisions. Except they do matter. They did matter. And now it's too late. The building is empty when Luther's voice crackles over radio, confirming what Sullivan already knows. No heat signatures, no bodies, no 8-year-old girl, just an abandoned room with blood on the floor and frayed rope and the smell of fear. She was here. Luther's voice is hollow, but she's gone now. Garrett doesn't speak, doesn't move, just stands in that empty room and stares at the blood and knows his daughter bled there, fought there, tried to escape there, and he wasn't fast enough to save her. Outside, Sullivan sits on wet pavement, rain soaking through his hoodie, broken watch reading 3:47, always 3:47, the time when he should have done more, should have run faster, should have stopped 200 people from looking away, the time when Bryn Thatcher screamed for help and the world decided she wasn't worth saving. "I'm sorry," Sullivan whispers to the rain, to the city, to the little girl with squeaky pink boots who trusted him to remember. "I'm so sorry." The rain doesn't answer, just keeps falling, cold, gray, relentless, like failure. The new warehouse is smaller, darker, closer to the river that will be Bryn's grave if Daddy doesn't recant. Malcolm and Wade carry her inside. Don't bother tying her up this time. She's not fighting, not running, not doing anything except breathing. Broken children don't need rope. They throw her on bare concrete. No mattress this time. No pretense of comfort. Just cold floor and darkness and the sound of river water lapping against pilings somewhere below. 4 hours till midnight. 4 hours until phase 2. 4 hours left to live. Bryn curls on her side, tucks her knees to her chest, makes herself as small as possible. In her mind, she's not here anymore. Not in this warehouse. Not in Sacramento. Not anywhere real. She's home. She's 5 years old, sitting on Daddy's lap while he reads her bedtime stories. The motorcycle vest draped over both of them like a blanket, his voice rumbling through his chest. Safe, warm, loved. She's 6 years old, learning to ride a bike, Daddy running beside her. Hand on the seat, ready to catch her if she falls. His laugh when she finds her balance. His pride when she doesn't need him anymore. She's 7 years old, baking cookies with flour in her hair and chocolate on her face. Daddy stealing dough when he thinks she's not looking. Both of them laughing. She's 8 years old. Friday morning, putting on Daddy's vest, feeling invincible. That girl seems so far away now. That girl who thought being small but fierce was enough, who thought fighting back mattered, who believed good people won and bad people lost. That girl was wrong. Malcolm's phone rings at 10 p.m. 2 hours to deadline. Yeah, status, kids secure, broken, not going to be a problem. Good. Where's Thatcher at the federal holding facility? Under protection. Won't recant. FBI confirmed. So we proceed. Understood. Malcolm looks at where Bryn lies motionless. Wade will handle it at midnight. Quick. Clean. Body in the river. Current will carry her downstream. Won't be found for weeks if ever. Keep me updated. The line goes dead. Wade checks his watch. 2 hours. His voice is flat. Then this is over and we get paid. Malcolm nods. Says nothing. Just looks at the 8-year-old girl on his concrete floor and feels something that might be regret. She fought hard. Wade's voice is softer now. The anger from her stabbing him has faded, replaced by something else. Kids her age shouldn't have to fight like that. Boss's orders. Malcolm's voice is automatic. We're just doing the job. Still, they sit in silence. 2 men who kill for money, who kidnapped a child, who will commit murder in 2 hours. Two men who somewhere beneath the professionalism and the violence might have a shred of conscience left, but not enough to change anything, not enough to let her go. 10 miles away, Sullivan sits in the clubhouse, watching Luther and Garrett and 95 brothers who haven't quit despite 38 hours of failure. The map is covered in red pins now. Every location searched, every lead followed, every possible warehouse cleared. Nothing. Byteworks' computer. GPS data, traffic cameras, cell phone towers, looking for any digital trace of the van's location. Nothing. Doc prepares medical equipment for an extraction that might never come. Professor reviews trauma protocols for a child who might already be dead. And Garrett Thatcher sits with his head in his hands, 41 years old. Biker, father, man who has fought through every hard thing life threw at him. But this might break him. She's alive, brother. Luther's voice is certain, even though his eyes say otherwise. We'll find her. How do you know? Garrett doesn't look up. How do you know she's not already? Because she's your daughter, and your daughter doesn't quit. She fights, same as you. Garrett wants to believe him, wants to trust that DNA and training and love are enough to keep an 8-year-old alive when professional killers want her dead. But the clock is ticking, 10:30 p.m. now. If the trial is Monday morning, then the deadline is coming. The window is closing, and they're no closer to finding her than they were 38 hours ago. Sullivan's eyes are closed, photographic memory playing every detail on repeat. The van, the license plate, the left turn, the construction detour, and something else, something he saw but didn't process, something at the edge of his memory trying to surface. The van at 1620 Warehouse Row, the one he saw leave at 5:30 p.m. He dismissed it, thought it was coincidence, didn't want to interrupt the tactical planning with maybes. But what if it wasn't coincidence, Boam? Sullivan's eyes fly open. He stands so fast his chair falls backward. The van, his voice cuts through the clubhouse noise. At 1620, I saw a white van leave at 5:30. Everyone goes quiet. You're sure? Luther's voice is sharp. Sullivan hesitates. I think so. I was 2 blocks away, couldn't see the plates clearly. But it was white, Dodge, right timing. Why didn't you say anything? Garrett is on his feet now, because I wasn't sure. Sullivan's voice breaks. Because I thought. Because homeless kids don't interrupt important people with maybes. Where did it go? Luther is already grabbing his jacket. Which direction? South, toward the river. Sullivan closes his eyes, plays the memory. Richmond Avenue. Then it turned. I lost sight after that, but if it stayed on Richmond, that leads to the old industrial waterfront. Luther finishes. Abandoned fish processing plants, river access, river access. The words hit Garrett like a punch. If they're planning to. Don't. Luther's voice is sharp. Don't think about that. We move. Now. 20 motorcycles roar to life. No time for full tactical planning. No time for proper reconnaissance. Just desperation and rage and the knowledge that midnight is 90 minutes away. Sullivan rides with Luther again. Broken watch, still reading 3:47. But this time he's not checking it. This time he's praying to a God he's not sure he believes in, that he's right. That the van was the right van, that Bryn is there, that they're not too late. The old waterfront is a graveyard of buildings. Fish processing plants that closed 20 years ago. Warehouses that haven't seen legitimate business in decades. The kind of place where screams don't carry and bodies disappear. 5 buildings total, all dark, all seemingly abandoned. Teams split, no time for one by one. Simultaneous breach. Find her. Bring her home. Luther takes the largest building, 3 stories, concrete, right on the river. The kind of place with boat access, with ways to dispose of things you don't want found. The service door breaks under Tank's boot. Inside smells like fish and mold and something else. Fresh cigarette smoke. Someone's here. Luther's tactical flashlight sweeps the ground floor. Empty, old equipment, rusted machinery, but fresh footprints in the dust. 2 sets, adult male, leading to stairs. They follow, silent, weapons ready, prepared for whatever comes. Second floor is a maze of offices, rooms with broken windows, halls that go nowhere. And then they hear it, faint, distant, the sound of voices, male voices, two of them, coming from the far end of the building. Luther hand signals. Garrett understands. They move as one. 20 years of brotherhood, creating communication that needs no words. The voices get louder, 15 minutes till midnight. Wade's voice. Then we're done. You really gonna go through with it? Malcolm sounds tired. She's just a kid. Boss's orders. We knew what this was when we took the job. Still, kid fought like hell. Deserves better than this. Life ain't about deserve. Wade's voice is hard. It's about survive. And she didn't. Luther reaches the door, peers through the crack. Two men at a table, cards, beer bottles, guns within reach. And in the corner, Bryn, motionless, curled on bare concrete. Too still, too quiet. Luther can't tell if she's breathing. Garrett sees her through the crack. His daughter, his baby girl, lying on concrete like garbage these men plan to throw away. Something inside him snaps. He doesn't wait for Luther's signal, doesn't wait for tactical timing, just explodes through the door with the force of 41 years of rage and fear and desperate love. Malcolm reaches for his gun, never gets there. Garrett hits him like a freight train, both men crashing into the wall, plaster cracking, the gun skittering across the floor. Wade tries to run. Tank appears in the doorway, 6'4", 280. Wade bounces off him like a tennis ball off a brick wall, goes down hard. But none of this matters to Garrett. None of it registers, because he's crossing the room, falling to his knees beside his daughter, hands shaking as he reaches for her. Bryn, baby girl, I'm here. Daddy's here. She doesn't respond, doesn't move, doesn't even flinch when he touches her. Doc is there a second later, med kit open, pen light checking her pupils, pupils responsive, pulse weak but steady, severe dehydration, rope burns, bruising. She's alive. The words hit Garrett like absolution. Alive. His daughter is alive. Doc starts an IV fluids going in, professional assessment happening while Garrett's world narrows to the size of Bryn's face. She's in shock. Doc's voice is gentle. Trauma response. Her body shut down to protect itself. We need to move her carefully. Garrett gathers her into his arms, gentle despite his size, despite the rage still burning through his veins. Cradles her like she's made of glass. Bryn, please, look at me. 10 seconds of silence. 10 seconds where Garrett's heart stops beating, where the world holds its breath. Then, so faint he almost misses it. 1462 Ashford Lane. Her voice is broken, mechanical. The address she has been reciting for 38 hours. The mantra that kept her sane and then stopped working. She's still saying it, even now, even rescued, because her mind is stuck in survival mode, stuck in darkness, stuck in the moment before everything broke. That's right, baby girl. Garrett's eyes fill. 1462 Ashford Lane. That's our address. You remembered. You did so good. Bryn's eyes focus, slowly, like she's surfacing from deep water, like waking from a nightmare into another nightmare that might actually be real. She sees her father's face, hazel eyes like hers, beard she used to tug when she was small, hands that have held her since she was born. Daddy, I'm here. I've got you. You're safe now. Recognition crashes through her. Recognition and relief and the desperate, overwhelming need to believe this is real. Bryn throws her arms around Garrett's neck, holds on like she will never let go, like gravity might stop working if she loosens her grip. She doesn't cry, doesn't scream, just holds on and whispers the same thing over and over. Don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me. I'm not going anywhere. Garrett's voice breaks. I promise. I'm never leaving you again. Police sirens wail in the distance, getting closer. Luther called them before the breach, made sure this stayed legal, made sure Malcolm and Wade faced justice. Doc works around them, checking vitals, wrapping rope burns in gauze, all while Bryn clings to her father and refuses to acknowledge anyone else exists. Professor kneels nearby, not touching, not pushing, just present, just waiting for the moment when Bryn is ready to see him. That moment doesn't come. Bryn's world has narrowed to the size of her father's arms. Nothing else penetrates. Nothing else matters. Malcolm Drake and Wade Pritchard lie zip-tied on the floor, faces pressed to concrete. The same concrete where they threw an 8-year-old girl and planned her murder. Garrett looks at them, really looks, sees the men who took his daughter, who tied her up, who were 10 minutes away from killing her. Luther's hand lands on his shoulder. Not here, brother. Let the law handle it. Every muscle in Garrett's body screams for violence, for revenge, for the kind of justice that leaves bodies instead of arrests. But Bryn is in his arms, live, breathing. Home. That's enough. Has to be enough. He carries his daughter down the stairs, through the warehouse, into November night where 19 Hell's Angels wait and one 13-year-old boy stands near Luther's Harley with tears streaming down his face. Sullivan sees Bryn, sees her alive, sees her clinging to her father. Relief hits him so hard he staggers, nearly falls. Luther catches him. You did it, kid. Luther's voice is rough. You found her. You saved her life. Sullivan can't speak, can only watch as Garrett carries Bryn to Doc's truck, as they load her carefully into the back seat, as Professor climbs in beside her. Bryn's eyes find Sullivan through the window, find the homeless boy who saw her when 200 people looked away. She doesn't smile, doesn't wave, is too traumatized for those gestures. But she holds his gaze for 3 seconds. And in those 3 seconds, Sullivan sees recognition, gratitude, the acknowledgement that he mattered, that he saved her. Then the truck pulls away, heading to Memorial Hospital, heading to safety, heading to the beginning of a very long recovery. Detective Torres arrives with 6 squad cars, steps out looking at the warehouse, at the bikers forming a perimeter, at Luther who stands waiting like he knew she was coming. Jesus, Luther, what did you do? Found what your department wouldn't look for. Luther hands her a thumb drive. Everything's on there, license plate, physical descriptions, GPS data, witness testimony. The works. Torres looks at the drive, at the warehouse, at the bikers. You could have called us. We did call you. At 4:30 Friday, your people told Garrett to wait 48 hours. That was 38 hours ago. Torres closes her eyes, and the girl's safe, with her father, on the way to Memorial Hospital. You'll want to send someone there to take her statement. Eventually, when she's ready, Torres nods, opens her mouth to say something about protocol, about procedure, about the right way to handle kidnappings. But Luther is already walking to his bike, already done with this conversation, already moving on to the next thing that matters. The bikers disperse like smoke, 97 motorcycles rumbling into the night, leaving Torres and her officers with 2 kidnappers in a warehouse full of evidence, leaving the mess for the system to clean up. Because they got what they came for. They brought their brother's daughter home. Memorial Hospital, Sunday 11:47 p.m., 13 minutes before midnight, 13 minutes before phase 2 would have happened. Bryn has been here 90 minutes. IV in her arm, bandages on her wrists, x-rays showing cracked ribs and severe bruising, but nothing permanent. Physically, she will heal. Emotionally is a different story. She hasn't spoken since arriving except to whisper her address. Hasn't let go of Garrett's hand. Hasn't acknowledged the nurses or doctors except to flinch when they get too close. Professor sits in the corner, watching, waiting, not pushing. He knows trauma, knows that healing starts when the patient is ready, not before so. Doc returns with test results, pulls Garrett aside, speaks quietly. She's severely dehydrated. The IV will help. Rope burns are deep but clean, no infection. Ribs will heal on their own. Physically, she's going to be fine. And mentally, Doc's expression softens. That's Professor's department. But from what I've seen, this is going to take time, Garrett, a lot of time. What she went through, most adults wouldn't survive intact. She's 8, I know. Garrett's voice is hollow. She's also a fighter. Doc's hand on his shoulder. She survived 38 hours. She tried to escape. She stabbed one of them. That's not a broken kid. That's a survivor. Garrett looks through the window at his daughter, so small in the hospital bed, still wearing the oversized vest he gave her Friday morning, still clutching it like armor. She stopped fighting toward the end. Garrett's voice is barely audible. Luther said when they found her, she wasn't moving, wasn't responding, she'd given up. No. Doc's voice is firm, her body shut down. That's not giving up, that's survival. Her mind protecting itself the only way it knew how. But what if? What if nothing? You found her. She's safe. Everything else we'll handle as it comes. Garrett nods, returns to Bryn's bedside, takes her hand again. She doesn't look at him, just stares at the ceiling. But her fingers tighten around his. Baby girl. Garrett's voice is gentle. The doctors say you're going to be okay. Physically, you're healing, and we'll handle the rest together. Okay, Bryn doesn't respond. Professor leans forward slightly, doesn't approach, just speaks. Bryn, you're safe now. Your daddy's here. You're in a hospital. The bad men can't hurt you anymore. Nothing. It's okay if you can't talk yet. Professor's voice is infinitely patient. It's okay if you need time. There's no rush, still nothing. Garrett's chest tightens. What if she never comes back? What if the girl who counted squeaks and whispered addresses and fought with everything she had is gone? What if 38 hours broke something that can't be fixed? The night passes slowly. Bryn sleeps fitfully, wakes screaming, whispers her address until Garrett's voice calms her, then sleeps again. This pattern repeats 6 times before dawn. Each time she wakes, she seems surprised to find Garrett still there, still holding her hand, still promising he won't leave. Like she doesn't believe rescue is real. Like she's waiting to wake up back in the warehouse. Monday morning brings gray light through hospital windows. The trial that was supposed to happen today has been postponed. Garrett called the prosecutor Sunday night, told them his daughter needs him more than their timeline needs him. They agreed. Tuesday morning, new date, give the victim time to stabilize. Doc stops by at 8 a.m., checks Bryn's vitals, adjusts her IV, speaks to her gently even though she doesn't respond. You're doing great, Bryn. Your body is healing. You're strong. Just keep resting. When he finishes his examination, he pulls Garrett into the hallway. She needs to start drinking on her own. Eating. The IV can only do so much. If she doesn't take fluids by mouth in the next 12 hours, we'll have to keep her longer. She won't even look at water. I know. Doc sighs. But trauma affects appetite. Affects everything. Just keep trying, small sips. Don't force it. Just offer. Garrett returns to find Professor sitting beside Bryn's bed, speaking quietly. My name is Alan. People call me Professor. I'm a friend, of your daddy's. I help kids who have been through scary things. And Bryn, what happened to you was very scary. But you're safe now. I promise you're safe. Bryn's eyes flick toward him. First acknowledgement that she's hearing anything, then away. Progress. Small. Barely anything. But progress. You don't have to talk to me, Professor continues. But I want you to know, everything you are feeling right now, the fear, the confusion, the not wanting to believe this is real, all of that is normal. Your brain is protecting you, and that's okay. Bryn's hand tightens on Garrett's. Your daddy is going to stay right here. Professor's voice is gentle. He's not leaving. Neither am I. Neither is Doc. You're surrounded by people who care about you, who fought to bring you home. Tuesday morning, 48 hours after rescue. Bryn still hasn't spoken except to whisper her address during nightmares. Still hasn't eaten. Still hasn't acknowledged anyone except Garrett, and only him when terror makes her reach out. Doc is discussing feeding tubes. Professor is researching trauma specialists who work with children this young, and Garrett is sitting beside his daughter's bed, watching her stare at nothing and wondering if he'll ever get her back. Then at 9:15 a.m. Bryn speaks. Real words. Not her address, not whispered. Clear. Did I? Her voice is small. Did I stop you from testifying? Garrett's head snaps up. What? No, baby. Never. They took me to scare you. Bryn's eyes find his. First time since rescue, she's really looked at him. Did it work? Garrett's heart breaks. You made me stronger. Not weaker. You survived. You fought. You tried to escape. You didn't quit. I did quit. Tears finally come. First time since rescue. I stopped fighting. I gave up. I broke the promise. No. Garrett moves to the bed, sits beside her, cups her face. Gentle. Firm. You survived. That's not breaking. That's winning. But I stopped counting squeaks, stopped saying my address, because you were exhausted, because your body shut down to protect itself. That's not quitting. That's your brain keeping you alive. Bryn searches his face, looking for lies, finding only truth. Then I didn't fail. You saved yourself. Garrett's voice is fierce. You kept yourself alive until we found you. That's not failure, that's strength. Something shifts in Bryn's expression. Something that has been broken starts piecing back together. Are you going to testify yes, even though they might try again? They can try. Garrett's jaw sets. But they'll fail, because you're safe now, protected. And Viktor Volkov is going to prison for the rest of his life. Bryn is quiet for a long moment. Then, I want to help. Baby, you've helped enough. Just rest, get better. No, Bryn sits up, winces as ribs protest. I want to testify, or write something, or do something that shows I'm not scared anymore. Professor speaks from the corner. We can arrange a victim impact statement. You write it. I read it to the court. The jury hears your voice without you having to be there. Bryn nods. I want to do that. That afternoon, she writes. Professor helps, guides her, makes sure the words say what she means. The statement is 73 words. Short, direct, the voice of an 8-year-old girl who survived. My name is Bryn Thatcher. When I was 8, bad men took me to scare my daddy. They wanted him to lie in court. But my daddy taught me that we don't quit. We don't lie. We fight. I survived 38 hours. I fought back. I didn't give up. My daddy shouldn't give up either. Tell the truth, Daddy. I'll be okay. Federal Courthouse. Tuesday morning. The trial that was supposed to happen Monday. Postponed because the witness's daughter needed time. The courtroom is packed. 47 Hells Angels in the gallery, silent, respectful, wearing their best leather, making a statement without saying a word. Bryn sits in the front row, Doc on one side, Professor on the other, holding both their hands because one isn't enough. She's wearing clean clothes, new pink rain boots that don't squeak, her father's vest washed and mended. The rope burn scars are visible on her wrists, bandages removed, no hiding what happened. Let them see, she told Garrett this morning. Let everyone see what those men did. Garrett takes the stand, 41 years old, biker, father, witness to murder. The prosecutor walks him through January 15th last year. The truck stop, Renzo Cortez execution, Viktor Volkov giving the order. Garrett doesn't waver, doesn't hesitate. Every detail clear, every word true. The defense attorney tries to rattle him. Brings up his record. His association with Hell's Angels implies he's not credible. Garrett looks at Bryn, at his daughter sitting in the front row, at the scars on her wrists. I'm a father. His voice is steady. I protect my daughter. I tell the truth. That's what fathers do. The defense has nothing. Professor reads Bryn's statement, 73 words that silence the entire courtroom. When he finishes, several jurors are crying. Viktor Volkov sits at the defense table, face impassive, but his eyes find Bryn. Hold her gaze, trying to intimidate, trying to scare. Bryn stares back, doesn't flinch, doesn't look away. 8 years old and she has survived worse than his stare. The jury deliberates 67 minutes. Guilty on all counts. Life sentence. No possibility of parole. When the verdict is read, Bryn squeezes Doc's hand. We won, right? Yes, little one. Doc's voice is gentle. You won. Sentencing comes fast. Malcolm Drake, 25 years federal. Kidnapping. Assault, conspiracy, Wade Pritchard, 20 years federal plus protective custody. Malcolm gives a statement. Not required, but requested. He looks at Bryn, at Garrett. She kept saying her address. Over and over. 1462 Ashford Lane. When she tried to escape and stabbed Wade, his voice is flat. I almost let her go. Almost couldn't do it. Tell her father. She's the strongest kid I ever saw. And I'm sorry. Garrett doesn't acknowledge him. Doesn't need to. Sorry doesn't erase 38 hours. Sorry doesn't heal rope burns. Sorry doesn't matter. 1 week after the trial, Clubhouse, 8:47 a.m. Preacher calls a chapter meeting. 97 brothers assembled. We found Hammer's daughter because of Sullivan Brennan. Preacher's voice carries weight. 13 years old, living in a car. World ignored him. But he didn't ignore Bryn. Murmurs of agreement. Chapter fund proposal. First month rent plus security deposit. Two-bedroom apartment. Colleen Brennan has an interview with Sacramento Sheriff tomorrow. 911 dispatcher position. Sullivan needs to be back in school. Needs stability. Preacher looks around the table. All in favor, 97 hands. Unanimous, no hesitation. Motion carries. 2 days later, Luther hands Colleen Brennan apartment keys. Small place, clean, hot water, windows that open. Colleen cries, "Why, we barely know you. Your son saved a little girl's life." Luther's voice is gentle. "That matters. He proved humanity isn't broken. That's worth everything." Bryn insisted on being there, runs to Sullivan, hugs him. "You saw me, you didn't give up." She pulls out a wrapped box, opens it. A watch, simple, functional, working, engraved on the back. "SB, you saw me. Thank you." BT Sullivan's hands shake as he holds it. "I wish I could have stopped them." "You did." Bryn's voice is fierce. "You remembered everything. You brought my daddy and 97 uncles. You saved my life." I win. Sullivan tries to speak. Can't, just cries. Bryn hugs him tighter. "We don't quit. And because of you, I didn't have to fight alone." 6 months later, Bryn's 9th birthday, clubhouse, 3 o'clock p.m., red and white streamers, 3-tier chocolate raspberry cake, 97 motorcycles outside. Bryn wears new pink rain boots, unicorn stickers, properly oiled. No squeak. Her father's vest still hangs on her frame. Still too big. Still her armor. The rope-burned scars have faded to white lines, visible if you know to look. Otherwise hidden. Bryn keeps them visible. Doesn't hide. Doesn't cover. "Proof I fought," she told Professor last week. "Proof I survived." Sullivan arrives with his mother. Colleen now works full-time. Benefits, stable schedule. Sullivan back in school. Lincoln Middle, 8th grade. He wears the watch Bryn gave him. Checks it constantly. Still a ritual, but different now. Not anxiety, just remembering. Bryn sees him, lights up. Sullivan runs over. Pink boots not squeaking. Hugs him. "I'm 9 now. Basically a teenager." Sullivan laughs. "That's not how math works." Close enough. The party flows around them, bikers and families, food and music, the sound of people who chose each other. Bryn climbs on a chair, shy but determined. 97 people go quiet. 6 months ago, bad men took me. Her voice carries. 200 people saw. Nobody helped, except Sullivan. He saw me. He remembered my squeaky boots. She looks at Sullivan. "And he brought you. 97 uncles who dropped everything." Pauses. Gets emotional. "My daddy taught me we don't quit. You all taught me someone always sees you if you don't give up. Thank you for seeing me." Preacher raises his glass. To Bryn Thatcher, 38 hours of survival, the girl who wouldn't quit. 97 voices. To Bryn, to Sullivan Brennan, the one who saw, to Sullivan. 1 year later, Bryn volunteers at the community center, teaching self-defense to younger girls. Professor supervises. Makes sure she doesn't push too hard. Doesn't re-traumatize. "My name is Bryn Thatcher," she tells the girls. "When I was 8, bad men took me. I was scared. But my daddy taught me don't quit. Fight. Remember who you are." The girls listen, wide-eyed, believing. "I survived 38 hours, bit one kidnapper, tried to escape, didn't give up. And someone saw me, someone helped. If you're ever in trouble, scream. Fight. Someone will see you." Sullivan graduates high school with honors, gets accepted to Sacramento State, criminal justice major, wants to be a detective, like Luther. Luther mentors him, teaches him everything he knows, details, patterns, the art of seeing what others miss. "You have the gift, kid," Luther tells him. "Use it well." Bryn is 10 now, still wears her father's vest every Friday, still has scars on her wrists, still teaches self-defense, still tells her story, and every time she does, she ends the same way. "You are not nobody." Her voice is strong, clear, certain. You are the one who sees, or the one who survives. Either way, you don't quit. Keep fighting. Keep saying your name. Keep believing someone will find you. Because they will. I promise. They will. She looks at the girls in front of her, sees their faces, sees their fear, sees their hope, sees them the way Sullivan saw her, really sees them. My name is Bryn Thatcher. I'm 10 years old. When I was 8, bad men took me because they thought fear would make my family break. She smiles. Genuine, free, the smile of someone who survived and chose to thrive. They were wrong. We don't quit. We fight. We survive. We see each other. And we never, ever give up. The girls applaud, small hands clapping, believing. Bryn takes a bow, pink rain boots planted firm, father's vest hanging proud, scars visible and owned. She is 10 years old. She survived. She matters. She sees and is seen. And that makes all the difference.